Well, hello, everyone. I'm Mike Amerlon, and I'd like to welcome you today to finding out everything about how you can transform your business processes with Microsoft 365 platform integrations. I'm joined with Matt Geimer from the Office Developer Experiences team. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Going great. How are you doing, Mike?
Keeping busy. Excited to get Build underway and started and get all these content out to people so that they can get in their hands and start developing. Today, we're going to cover a bit about how you can actually code across a number of different applications. Excel, SharePoint. Really, quite a diverse set. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Cool. All right. So, yeah, as I mentioned, we're going to cover a lot of different topics today in this session. So, first, we're going to cover, the kind of end-to-end of business processes. I mean, you might think of business processes as these really complicated, long-running things, officially put into place, but there's actually a lot of business processes, ad hoc ones, things that you start up and do and maybe finish within a day. Across the board, with the Office platform, you can actually go and extend every separate application to make running those business processes, whether small or formal, that much more efficient and effective. So we're going to cover a number of different tools. We'll cover Excel, Office, Power Automate, SharePoint, Outlook, and then we'll sort of wrap it up with how you can actually bring it inside of Teams. So let's get started. So when you first look at, business processes, typically they start with this. I'm a user, right? Now, the first thing I might be doing is analyzing data. So analyzing data, I'm going to go use a tool like Excel. I'm going to go bring together some facts and figures. I'm going to go crunch data. Maybe I find something new, and then I say, you know what? I need to go get a report out on this. So I'm going to take my findings, my analysis, my charts, go put it into a report, and then I'm going to go send it out to the rest of my team. Now, before I do that, though, I might actually go need a approval. So a next step in a process may commonly be something where you actually go and ask for an approval. These approvals can be formal. They can be asking your manager. They can be less informal. And so it might be something to where you create tasks and to-dos and wait for that formal approval. Now, when you do this, it's going to go send a notification. It's going to go send out emails, Teams notifications and the like. And one follow-up from that might be that you actually have to go schedule a meeting. Maybe you need to get everyone into a room to go approve that report before it gets sent out to maybe the executives inside of your organization. So maybe the next step from there is, okay, you get the approval, you send it out, the report goes out to everyone, the executives are happy, you make your corporate decisions, life is good, but then the final step is that you need to go archive a document. So this is just one of many processes that are probably running today. It starts with the user seeing some new analysis inside of Excel. It ends with a document that gets archived, 6 months later. Now, one thing that you might see across all of these different processes is that there's a number of different tools in Microsoft 365 that help you drive this. And for the dozens of different processes that you run, that your colleagues run, that are run inside of your organization, you can actually take all those tools that are used to go build those reports and actually make them better, make it more effective and efficient for people to go create those processes. And then the other thing you can do, is actually then go host that inside of Microsoft Teams. This provides a great way to actually organize all of your processes inside of one place. The other thing you can do is you can actually then go and manage those APIs and talk to all the different facets of this process through Microsoft Graph. So in today's session, what you'll learn is how you can actually make those collaborative processes just that much better. You'll save everyone time. A lot of times, if you ask me, processes can be kind of a pain. They're long-running things. They're things that are not super pleasant about your job. By actually developing the tools and adding more code to them, you can actually streamline, save time. You can spare people from having to do a lot of drudge work, setting up emails, setting up approvals, setting up meetings. You can have the system do it for you, which then frees you up to actually go and, spend your time on more creative things, doing more analyses and the like. The other thing that is really useful when you actually start to automate processes is that you will sort of remove those errors, the occasional hiccups that occur because, maybe you forgot to include somebody on an approval, those kinds of things. And so net, by taking code to every process and every tool that you'll see at every stage of what you're doing, you can actually make those processes much better. And in today's session, we'll find out more about that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the different phases of that process that we talked about. We'll see how across applications like Outlook and Teams and SharePoint and Windows, because they were designed to be extended, you can actually go bring your code straight inside of those different applications to make them just that much more better and more tailored to the processes that you're trying to do. The other thing we also want to show is that there's a range of coding options for those different steps in your process. You can make different facets of the process better with low code or no code tools like Teams or Power Automate or Excel. Or you can actually go write some code and actually extend Office with some add-ins, or go build some actionable messages, or automate SharePoint with custom code as well. And so we'll show you the range of different options that you have for extending custom processes, either with low code or pro code. So with that, let's go take a look a little bit at the first step that we're going to go see. Matt, you've been working a bunch on Excel and on a number of other tools across Office. Why don't you go show us a little bit about how developers and users can go customize Excel to go extend some reports?
Awesome. Love to, Mike. Thanks. Yeah. So like Mike was saying, we have a lot of opportunity to take the tools inside of Office, Excel, and go deeper, automate our process. And we're going to go ahead and take explicitly a look at Excel right now. We have this really cool tool called Office Scripts in Excel on the web. And what it lets you do is it enables you to have a low code, low barrier to entry way to automate the everyday processes that you use. So we really wanted to focus on how we can enable the end user to grow their skills, how we can make sure that we're using current technology. We can go ahead and enable IT admins to do the governance that they need, whether it be enabling sharing in an organization or making sure that users don't actually get a specific script from outside an organization. And then making sure that we can also have the collaboration that is really important in these various processes as they bounce from person to person or department to department. We want to make sure that we have Office scripts that will let a user do a task that makes sense in both that specific setting and more broadly. So let's take a look at this real quick. So I'm going to do a demo of Office scripts for you. We can see here I'm in Excel on the web, and I have a spreadsheet up of various returns from water pumps and brake fluid and air filters. It's an auto parts situation. So I'm a return center, and I'm sitting here and I have my various customers that have returned things to my various stores. Now, looking here, we have an automate tab that lets us take a look and either record actions or have a code editor. Now, I'm going to go and show you what these are in a second, but normally what I do is I'd say, hey, I need this actually to be in table format, and I'd go ahead and select this and say, hey, I want a table. So here's my table. Great. It has headers. That's awesome. Great. It made a table for me, and I want this merged. Cool. I can go ahead and merge these cells across if I want. That's great, which I've done. Now, if I'm getting something like this every week, it'd be really nice if I could take that exact same thing and just automate it to run the same way every time. So I'm going to go ahead and make a quick copy of this so that we have a start over here. All right. Paste here. Great. We're back to our original state. I'm going to go ahead and use this automate tab. And now we see this record action. So if I'm getting the same spreadsheet every week and I want to go ahead and do the exact same thing on it every time, I should be able to do that easily. With Office scripts, I can do that. All right, great. We can see here that record actions is now showing. It says recording. And so let's go ahead and create that table again and see what happens. So I'm going through, I'm doing the things I normally do. I click create table. It still has that same pop-up. Yes, I want headers. Oh, look, over here we see it says create tables. It's telling me what I'm doing. It says it's recording. Let me go ahead and merge those cells again. I'm going to go ahead and take my cells and merge them. Okay, great. It says I merged them. I can do things like formatting. Awesome. It said bold. So, this is a couple steps. Let's just see what it's done for me. So I stop. I have a script name and I have a description. We can go ahead and, name it script 2. Why not? Hit save. It's saving the script. Now, where it's saving it to is my OneDrive. It's not saving it for this specific workbook. It's saving it inside of OneDrive. So I have more portability. It's not tied to this workbook. So we can see that this created JavaScript for us, and we have the ability to rerun this. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take this clean data here that wasn't formatted. I'm going to go ahead and copy it, put it back over my formatted data, just to show you that this indeed does run the way we expect it to. So we have this clean data, no table, none of that. I can go ahead and just click run. And when I click run, it goes ahead and does that exact same process for me without me having to do any of it. So I can come back time and time again and get that same formatting, the same pieces of information I want. And this is really great. It helps save me time, especially if I'm doing a repetitive task. Now, that's not all that we can do with Office scripts. We can also do more complex processes. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to another example here. I have a status report that I'm tracking in an Excel sheet. We use Excel for all sorts of different things. I'm tracking statuses on the team. Right now, I'm logged in as the admin. We also have Megan here. We see that the status report is missing for this week. So I can actually use Office scripts to help me automate this, where I remind my teammates that I want to go ahead and get their status report. I can open up the code editor here, and we can see that I have a bunch of scripts listed that I've either recorded or I've added by writing JavaScript myself. I can go ahead and extend that recorded bit to do more things. And in this case, I see I have a remind people script. And this script right here is going to go through and it's going to look at this status report column and go ahead and say, if it's empty, we need to remind them. Now, we should go ahead and use this. I can run it now. It'll work, but it'd be better if I could have it run automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and actually show you Power Automate. So I have a flow in Power Automate that can use an Office script. So if I go look at my flows, it's going to go ahead and I've created this flow. I'm going to show it to you that has the remind people here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to click edit. Got to hit the right edit. All right, we can see here I have it set to do a manual trigger, but I could have it scheduled to run every week or whatever the specific process made sense. So I have run script, and here we can see it's looking at my OneDrive. It's saying the status report, which we just saw that in the sheet, and the script is running as remind people. So that's the script I have. And then what it's doing is it's taking the output of that, and I'm applying for each person in there. It's going to go ahead and actually report to teams and wait for a response saying, hey, we need to get your status report update. And then it's going to run another script and actually put that response right back into the sheet. So let's see how this all comes together. I'm going to go ahead and trigger the flow here by clicking the button. So I'm just going to go ahead and click run. So it's running the flow. What's happening here is we can see I had two open status report items. Right now, I have to click run here. Click run. We can see here I have Teams open. All right, we can see the status here is running. That's great. So it's going through the different steps, doing the different pieces. It's triggered. It's going to run that script. Right now, I can go ahead and, look, Flow sent a card. I'm logged in right now, again, as the admin user. So it's right here, update your status report. I can click here and say, my status report is great. I go ahead and hit submit. Great. So I've responded. And we can see here that I have a chat from the same Flowbot. And here's the report reminder. So I can say, awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. We're going to get that response. So right here in Teams, I've gotten that update. Let me swap back over to my status report. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. As we see it load up, it automatically put those right in there. So I wasn't doing anything inside this worksheet. I already had this workbook. I already had this happening automatically through Power Automate. We can see here that it completed. We worked through Teams to go ahead and get that status report updated. So that's pretty great. So we just saw how you can use Office scripts to automate your processes inside of Excel and automate them even further using tools like Power Automate and Teams to complete these processes in a way that's seamless and makes it way easier to get done the tasks that you have to do. Let's go ahead and get a quick recap. We saw that we can connect across the cloud and actually enable scripts to run inside of Excel automatically, and then go ahead and get the output and apply them in other places. Office scripts lets us automate our tasks and processes inside of Excel, making us really able to schedule them outside of Excel using Power Automate or on demand inside. They're stored in the cloud, so they're not tied to a workbook explicitly. I can share them with other users of a workbook, or I can just keep them for myself. We're also working on updating the preview as we move forward, including things like sharing our scripts automatically with different users and continuing to simplify the code that's written so that you have a better way to expand upon it. Now that we've taken a look at the Office scripts, we should move forward and take a look at the next step, which using that data that we've analyzed inside of Excel to go ahead and get some more value out of it and use it in Word, let's say. So I'm going to go ahead and show you another demo here of Office add-ins. So Office Scripts was built on top of the same technology that Office add-ins uses. We're going to go ahead and take a look at a little bit more about what an add-in is, and then I'm going to show you some. So Office add-ins use standard web tools, HTML, JavaScript, CSS. They're meant to be built once and run everywhere. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. There's no idea of you need one for Mac and one for Windows and one for mobile. The idea is that you should only have to build this once. They integrate seamlessly with other Microsoft 365 services, including the ability to call into things like Microsoft Graph or your own Azure AD protected APIs. And you only have to deploy them once. You deploy an update, and it goes out live everywhere. There's no deploying to desktops, thanks to the fact that they're using these standard web tools. Add-ins consist of a few distinct pieces. There's things like add-in commands, where you can go ahead and put icons on the ribbon and do various activities from there. We have dialog boxes, so you can pop up dialogues and do various pieces there to interact with your document. And then task panes, where you can go ahead and surface an entire service or interact with the document locally if you just want to do client side. It's a straightforward process to create these. There's a manifest with XML configuration file, and then you have a couple options on how you publish them, whether it be locally or putting them in AppSource where users can go and acquire them. Let's go ahead and take a look at a demo of something called ScriptLab, and I'm going to show it to you in Outlook, which is really exciting because this is one of the first times that I've been able to show this. It's a new piece of ScriptLab's capability. We've shown ScriptLab in the past in Excel and Word. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do now with it in Outlook. So here I am in Outlook, and I have my normal UI experience. I have a mail message here from Megan that she's sending me, hey, ScriptLab on Outlook. And if I look here, I have my options. I'm going to go ahead and open those up. And we can see here, these are our add-ins. So we have a couple add-ins already preloaded. I preloaded ScriptLab for Outlook. I can show you in a minute how you can go and get add-ins through the store in other ways. But for now, we just have it here. And I have a couple options that it provided. So I have code, run, etc. I'm going to go ahead and just launch it so you can see what it looks like. Let's take a look at the run. So it's going to go ahead and open a task pane here. Now, this task pane is connecting to a service. It's talking, doing what it needs to do. And we see here it's actually loaded up a sample. So I can see, hey, great, this is telling me I need what mode, who's it from. So in Outlook explicitly, there's different ways, different modes of add-ins, different modes that add-ins can run in explicitly, read or compose based off of the context you're in. So in this case, it's just going to say, hey, who's this from? I can click it. Well, we can see down here it said it's from Megan Bone. That's great. I want to see though, like where can I see the code for this? So I can open up the code editor, and we can see here it's opening up an experience, and this code editor is showing me that this is the script that's required to make this add-in do what it did, which in this case is the message it was from. It said, hey, who's it from? We have HTML that is actually being rendered over here and in our task pane, and we can go ahead and change that if we wanted to. Just added the S and the A as uppercase. We see here is changing in real time. And then we have, our styling and any libraries that are required. So that's great. It really gives you an easy way to do quick prototyping. And the nice thing about ScriptLab, as we've shown before in Excel, is that there's a lot of really great samples. So you can learn how to build an add-in quite quickly and use this as a way to get started from all the different examples inside of ScriptLab. And again, it's for Excel, it's explicitly new. This is brand new. It's going to be in AppSource very, very shortly. Let's go ahead and say, let's get the two line specifically. So again, we're in read mode. That's the mode I'm in. Compose mode, we can do different things. We see the code's changed here. We see that we have this render over here. I can say, hey, who is this to? It was sent to me, the admin. So that's really powerful, really great. It's a great way to get started. Again, new for Outlook. It's available in AppSource very soon, and really should try it out. So that's a quick primer on some of the ways you can use ScriptLab to build an add-in and really like a rapid prototype. It's just using JavaScript and HTML and CSS. You should go check that out. Let's go ahead and move to our next demo. I actually just dive right into it. So we have another really cool demo where we have we're going to go back to Excel here for a second. And let me close out my my Office scripts there. And I see that I have, tables, and we have tons of tables, charts, and other pieces inside of Excel that we are then going to go ahead and move forward into a document or a PowerPoint slide. And lots of times what happens is we have information in there that might get updated and I didn't know about it. And so there's a great way to solve this using add-ins. And so I want to show you one called Excel to Word. So this Excel to Word is basically looking for content that we've named in a range or a table, a chart with a specific prefix. And then it goes ahead and it uses a service to link those two together with our Word, where we also see that we have that same add-in. So I have them both in Excel and in Word. It also works in PowerPoint. And what I can do here is I can say, hey, great, I need to go ahead and insert a table or a chart from an Excel book into a Word document. And so we can see here, I can say, I want to go ahead and get the Excel content. So here I've pre-registered some Excel content using the add-in inside of Excel. I click get the content. We can see here, great, it brought in one table. So if I go ahead and choose the table, we can see, well, there's a sales table here. I can go ahead and say, hey, I want to insert that. So I'm going to move my cursor. I'm going to click insert. So right now we can see here, this was a different book I was using, but that's the same exact content that we can use for over here in our sales. So we can see how using an add-in across the different Office applications lets me go ahead and link this data. And as people update it in the Excel workbook, I can go ahead and get this content and update it inside of my Word document. It's pretty cool. And so just real quick, wanted to tell you there's a lot of cool new things happening inside of Office add-ins. We're GAing a lot of different pieces, including shared runtime. There's new Excel APIs. There's new Outlook APIs. There's a whole lot of new meeting availability inside of Outlook where we've made it easier to join meetings. So make sure you check that out. And then just want to real quickly touch that there's multiple ways that we've streamlined getting add-ins. So there's centralized deployment where an admin can deploy add-ins to specific users or groups and go ahead and make them just be available so a user doesn't have to go and get them themselves. But you can also get it directly through AppSource or in the client in the store. So we've come to the point now where we've looked at how we can analyze and update the data. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Mike to work on moving forward with triggering approvals.
All right. So now that you've got your report all pulled together, you've got the data updating from your Excel spreadsheets, you're doing your calculations. Now let's go talk about how you can actually get your document out to the rest of the world. And usually that's going to start with putting your document inside of a place like SharePoint, where that gives a whole range of different possibilities for further managing your workflow, including things like managing approval processes. So let's talk a little bit about how you can use Power Automate and SharePoint together to start to build those processes. Now, Power Automate, as Matt just showed you, has just a whole range of different connectors and templates that make building different types of workflows easy. No matter whether you're using, like, for example, Office scripts, as Matt showed you, or whether you're going to go ahead and maybe connect it to your CRM systems or just connect it back to SharePoint and do different types of actions. The other cool thing about Power Automate is that you can connect it with your code. So you can build your own custom connectors, which are basically wrappers for web services, and then have your own custom workflows just weave into a broader Power Automate process that you can go design. So Power Automate, a very powerful tool. Matt showed you a lot about this. And now that you've got your document inside of SharePoint, it just unlocks those possibilities. Now, SharePoint itself also has a number of different opportunities for actually hosting those document processes. From a code perspective, you can access all the documents and all of the content using Power Automate, using Graph APIs, using things like webhooks to go connect into it. So there's a whole range of document APIs that will allow you to get access to the file specifically. And then we also have webhooks, which allow you to respond to different events in the system. So for example, when a document gets updated, your code, your web service will get a callback that will let you know that that document's changed. The other thing that's great about SharePoint is that you can go change the user experience. So you can actually start and launch different types of processes straight from inside of the SharePoint user experience. So let me just show you a couple of those different options. I'm going to go switch over from here. Okay, let's go start with Power Automate. So inside of Power Automate, just to give you a little bit of a flavor for this, this is my Power Automate dashboard. It shows all the different operations that I've got against different reactions to things that happen in Teams and Excel when I push a button through a flick. But in this case, you can design very simple processes and get started pretty quickly for things like content approvals. So in this case, I've got a flow, very simple by itself. It'll do a content approval, and it's got a number of different steps that are associated with it. So the first thing that happens is when I create a new organization inside of a SharePoint list, that's kind of step number one. It's pulling from my SharePoint list. It's going to go get my profile. It's going to go get my manager. And then it will start a built-in approval process. And what you can see here is I can actually go customize, parameterize all of the different fields, the title, the assigned to. I'm going to go assign this to my manager and ask them to go approve my process. And then if the document actually gets approved, the new organization that I'm adding into the system gets approved, it will go ahead and send a notification from there. So I can do a whole bunch of different options and further iterate and sort of go customize. So lots of new opportunities to go customize your business processes straight inside of Power Automate. But what happens if you want a little bit more power? You want to write some code that really connects to those events inside of SharePoint. Well, to do that, you can use a simple webhook API to go connect back to those file changes. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to come over to my code over here. I'm going to go start this project. Now, this is a simple website, and what it's going to do is it's going to actually allow me to hook a webhook into a SharePoint document library that's going to do audio transcription. So when I upload a new document into a SharePoint document library, it's going to go receive that event, and then it's going to go pull and make sure that it can go send it to an external service, and from there, it will go ahead and process it. So this is my simple bootstrapping site. It's just a basic ASP.NET site for launching and hooking into the webhook. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go sign into my SharePoint site. I'm going to go select a document library that I want to go use and go hook my webhook into. Now, in this case, I'm signing in with the Microsoft Authentication libraries, like so. And then I'm going to go say, start watching a document library. Now, this is a OneDrive file picker. It's a bit of reusable JavaScript that you can embed inside of your application, side plug for that little bit of code right there. This is going to allow me to pick the document library that I want to go use across my OneDrive and my SharePoint sites. Okay, so I see a list of different document libraries. I'm going to go pick the SharePoint site over here, and it's going to go list all the document libraries. In this case, I'm going to go pick Audio G like this. I'm going to go pick this document library. And so now what's going to happen is it's going to go to that SharePoint site. It's going to go connect a webhook into it and start watching it to make sure that as documents get uploaded, it can do the transcription. So the next thing, I'm going to come back to my document library. And from here, what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go upload a couple of different documents like this. So I'll go upload some files from my desktop, some WAV files that I want to go transcribe, and then go upload them into my document library. The other thing you'll notice is that this registration tool, what it did was it created a couple of different fields for language and transcription that will sort of hold the translation once that happens. Let's take a quick look at the code. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a new subscription object. You can see I'm using the Microsoft Graph SDK here to register all the different subscriptions. It's going to see if that subscription exists. And if it doesn't, it's going to go create a new subscription and register it against my web service. Now, taking a look at the web service very briefly, you can see it's an audio transcription service. When it gets pulled, it's going to go scan my document library. It's going to go ask SharePoint, hey, were any documents uploaded? Were they processed? And if not, what it'll do is it'll go process those audio files and send them to my transcription service, and then go update the SharePoint list item that has the transcription. So if I come back here, let me just go to a different document library that I did this transcription earlier on, and you can see that it automatically filled out the transcription fields with the data that was updated. So you can go connect your webhooks straight into SharePoint and go connect the different document events from there with a webhook. Now, the other thing I just want to show you very briefly is that you can also hook into the SharePoint user experience. So in this case, I can just go select a different item. I can go create custom actions straight on my SharePoint document library. And then go embed my own custom user experiences. So if I want to kick off a workflow straight inside of SharePoint, you can go extend the SharePoint menus. And to do that, you'd use infrastructure called SharePoint Framework. There's something called SharePoint Framework Extensions, which allows you to register custom JavaScript to menu items, which is also just a great tool for kicking off workflows. So that's a little bit about SharePoint and how you can actually use it to go build some infrastructure. Let's go back to the slide deck. So the next step is, sending out notifications. One of the most important parts of an approval is just getting everyone on board and making sure that they see and notice an update and can take a response to it. Now, one of the key tools that we have for doing that is something called actionable messages. Not just sending people an email, but sending an email with the buttons straight in line that they can use to actually go commit an approval. So actionable messages are basically a markup language that allows you to embed these little forms like you see here straight inside of emails to make approving just one click easy to do. Compared to going and following a link and signing into a website, getting authenticated, all those kinds of things can be super difficult. This just makes it easy. Now, you can actually then go embed these different user experiences. And the beauty of it is that, as your web service goes and pushes those actual messages through Office 365 and Outlook, it will work across your desktop, your mobile, and your tablet devices. So because these actual messages are adaptive to the form factor, the device that they're being used in, they can automatically make sure that you get the right experience straight in line. So let's go take a look at actionable messages. I'm going to go return back to my web browser over here. Great. And I'm going to go straight into my inbox. And so here you can see a message with actionable messages straight inside of it. In this case, it's a contact approval workflow. I can say, this looks great, like so. And then just go approve it straight in line, straight inside of Outlook. This really makes a huge difference in making approvals a lot quicker. We used it for some expense reporting and had dramatically improved results on people's overall time to go approve expense reports. And so I'm going to go try to approve this item. So I can say, looks great, like so, and go click approve. And this is going to go send it to my web service. And in this case, what happened was I got an approval back from there. Now, there's a tool at adaptivecards.io called the Adaptive Cards Designer. This allows you to go create and work with the different types of markup that you can go use to go create adaptive cards. So in this case, you can see a little bit of what it looks like, but there's a number of different tools here that you can use to, for example, drag and drop a different image, straight in line. So you can define these forms that you're going to use inside of email in a pretty straightforward manner with the Adaptive Cards Designer. One other tool I want to call out is something called this Actionable Messages Debugger. So this is an add-in, what Matt showed you earlier, an add-in you can actually get for Outlook. And what it'll do is it'll help you debug everything about your adaptive cards and your actual message experiences. So, for example, I can say, okay, here's the adaptive card that's embedded inside my email. If I want to go take this into the designer and maybe go mock out what it's going to look like, with maybe some different buttons, I can go have this workflow where I can iterate on the emails. I can go iterate on my adaptive card design straight inside of this adaptive card designer. So 2 tools you need to know of: the debugging tool for Outlook and the adaptive cards designer. Of course, you can also build add-ins as Matt showed you earlier to go improve the overall Outlook, responsive experience. For as much time as we spend in Outlook, sometimes every improvement that you make will really make those business processes that much more streamlined. And then the final thing we wanted to show you was just a little bit of how you can actually host everything inside of Microsoft Teams. At the end of the day, you're probably going to need a hub to actually pull all this information together into one place. And Teams is a great place to do that. So maybe you're working on a contract and this is a major contract for your firm. It's going to require lots of negotiation. Create a team for that. And then you can actually go add all the tools and the processes and the lists that you're using for tracking in one place, which makes it really easy to organize what you're doing. Now, Teams was designed to make it super extensible. So you can add tabs, you can add bots, you can connect to Teams APIs through Graph. There's just a number of ways to go make Teams a very custom experience for your customers. So let me show you what this looks like. So one of the things that I've built is a custom tool. Let me go over to, sorry about that. Let me go switch over. Here we go. Okay. So what I've done is I've created a custom website that will actually help me go provision different tailored team experiences straight within Teams using Microsoft Teams Graph APIs. So in this case, what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go select a region. I'm going to go say, let's go create a team straight for that region. And what this is going to do is I'm going to come back into my Teams instance over here, like so. You can see what will happen is it just created a new team for me. It's using those Graph APIs to go create my sales team. It's created a channel, and it's also created another additional channel called Inbound Sales. And the other thing that we can do through Graph APIs is actually go and provision different applications straight into my site. So in this case, those Graph APIs that are running in the background, they added a map. So if I want to go track my sales region, this is a website from Bing, but you can imagine plugging into your own mapping tools. I also created a SharePoint list that can store our sales leads. If I come back to my provisioning application, I can also just install custom Teams applications that I might have built. So in this case, this is another script that I've written. And what this will do is it'll add another channel for managing our suppliers. So now I'm going to go over into that suppliers channel. And you can see from there, once I select it, we've got this custom organizations application that's going to connect back to SharePoint where I'm storing all of my data. And it's going to show me the list of suppliers that we're working with. So here you get a sense of you can use Microsoft Graph APIs to actually go create these very custom teams, add all the right people in, and give this really tailored experience so that people always know where to go when they're working on their business processes. So it's a really cool tool. At Build, we're also announcing new templating capabilities, so you can also do this without writing code. You can actually specify the different channels and applications and how those all work together. All right, so that was a whirlwind tour of how you can use your customizations, your developer extensions to change and improve every tool that you'll use across Microsoft 365 to help business processes. If you think about it, we're all doing dozens of different business processes in various forms all throughout the year. And if you can actually just make them a little bit more efficient, if you can save someone an hour in a week, it can actually make a huge difference and free you up to go think about bigger projects, bigger ideas, all the kind of agility that we need as we're working through all these different changes in remote work. So with that, we have a number of different assets and resources that you can use to go ahead and get started. So for each one of those applications, we have Office scripts. We have a number of different resources on the internet that you can go use. And in addition, for Microsoft 365 development, we have a number of different programs. So we have the developer program, which you can use to go sign up, get emails, get updates from Microsoft 365. We have our learning paths and certification. So if you want to train more on Microsoft 365, facets of it, you can go do that. And then we have a growing YouTube presence, a number of instructional videos. And please follow us on Twitter, where you can find out more information about new releases and new capabilities. And so with that, I'd love to thank you for attending the session. Matt, thanks for joining in and showing us Office scripts.
Thanks so much, Mike. You did great. Thanks for mentioning that demo or the dev program. That thing's awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you get a free Office 365 tenancy, which is great for starting development. So yeah, a lot of good tools there. So thank you for jumping into our session. We hope that you're inspired to go customize and tweak some facets of the business process. And thanks so much for attending.